Amorim breaks TV set in rage after the Brighton loss.
Earlier in the week, it was reported that the Manchester United dressing room would be in need of a new TV after Ruben Amorim smashed it after the 3-1 defeat to Brighton.
I get more mad because of the other games, so it's even harder to understand some things, you know? We are being the worst team in history of Manchester United. I know that you want headlines. I'm saying the obviously. If you want, I can be a delusional. I see it as I saw it.
It appears that Ruben Amorim may have more of an edge than we thought. A shattered television, fragments of frustration scattered across the floor of the Manchester United dressing room. In a moment of raw, unfiltered emotion, Ruben Amorim, usually the picture of calm and restraint, lost himself in a cloud of anger and frustration. A moment he has since said he can't guarantee won't happen again, but one where his emotions took over.
Then sometimes it's really hard for me to hide this frustration.
What does this mean for a manager or a head coach who is known for his calm and collected demeanour? What does this mean for a dressing room that has been ruled by player power with hardly any accountability, and for a club that once had the most well-known strongman ruler in all the sports?
Oh, come on!
This is about leadership and power. What does Amorim's outburst tell us about his attempts to truly change the culture of United? Let's talk about that hairdryer moment and its impact, because I think it's very important. For 26 years, Sir Alex Ferguson ruled over United with an iron fist. He was in charge and commanded both respect and fear from every player. And he became synonymous with two things: success and a hairdryer treatment. The cultural significance of United during Fergie's era cannot be overstated. This term became common parlance. The hairdryer treatment was psychological warfare, refined into an art form, a phrase coined by players who experienced Fergie's legendary close-quarter verbal assaults. So intense, so visceral, the players felt like they were being blown back by an industrial-strength hairdryer.
Sat me and Giggsy down and give us the biggest hairdryer you've ever seen in your life.
But he gave me the hairdryer, the famous hairdryer. This is not it's true. He exists.
He kicked the chairs and he kicked the boots, he kicked everything, the waters, the drinks, and he's so red and he should pass the ball. It's unbelievable.
He didn't just do it for the sake of it, he did it for a reason. If he ever did have a go at you, the next day it was forgotten.
He made a substitution, I didn't agree with it.
Yeah.
And I went crazy on the pitch and I was shouting in the tunnel, got into the change room, and then he just became a hairdryer over the top of me.
Remember David Beckham? The boot incident. The icon struck by Fergie's boot after a heated argument. Or Roy Keane, confronting teammates mid-season about commitment before being promptly sacked. These were statements. Fergie understood that leadership wasn't about being liked, but about being respected. And he created a culture where individual ego was secondary to collective ambition.
The real reason for losing your temper is because of expectation. I could never visualise us losing a game. Of course, you don't win every game, that's a fact. But when they dropped below their expectation, that annoyed me most.
But here's the real question. Could any manager get away with this approach today? Would modern players accept being treated this way? The answer is complex, and it starts with understanding what's changed. Now, Fergie controlled everything. The training ground, the canteen, the bus, everything, everybody. And nobody was bigger than the club. This absolute control became a template for sporting excellence, a model that seemed unassailable during his reign. But football evolves, players change, society changes, and power dynamics shift. David Moyes arrived and was swallowed up by the legacy. Louis van Gaal brought tactical rigidity, but emotional distance. Jose Mourinho introduced a brand of confrontation that at times felt more performative than transformative. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer became the players' emotional crutch, protecting them publicly and almost to a fault. Ten Hag tried discipline, that famous 14-kilometre team run he himself joined after Brentford, but the needle never really truly moved. Each manager represented a different approach to filling the impossible void left by Fergie. Each failed not just tactically but culturally. Each tried to find their own formula for leading. Mourinho with fear, Solskjaer with love, Ten Hag with discipline. Each of them tried to either emulate or reject Fergie's methods, but none found the right balance. They were attempting to navigate a changing landscape of professional football, where player power was becoming increasingly dominant, whilst also grappling, perhaps, the biggest power vacuum in the history of the sport. United's dressing room has become a gilded cage. Big contracts, global brands, big egos, with no true success to show for it. Managers have increasingly feared that nuclear option. Players downing tools, turning public opinion, getting the manager sacked. Aggressive motivation worked when players viewed managers as absolute authority figures, but now, social media means a public dressing down can become a career-defining moment, and not in a positive way. Where Ferguson could mostly contain disputes within the dressing room, modern managers face battles on multiple fronts: the pitch, the press, and and the endless scroll of social media. Players can instantly control their narrative, mobilise fan support, and potentially undermine managers. And a fundamental question emerges. Can you still lead through fear in an era of extreme player power? This brings us to the most important question. What does effective leadership look like in modern football? Can you blend old school authority with new school sensitivity? What Amorim represents here is more of a balanced approach. Not the complete abolishment of intensity, but its intelligent application. He's attempting to be simultaneously authoritative and relatable. Look at his press conference statements. He's transparent about the team's struggles, takes responsibility, but is also unafraid to show genuine emotion. And that's the new leadership paradigm. Honesty, but with underlying strength. Fergie was terrifying, but players would run through walls for him. Amorim's not trying to be Fergie. He's trying to be an authentic version of a modern leader who understands modern players. And that's why that moment of fury, the TV smashing moment, feels like more than an outburst. It feels like it could be a reset button.
Sometimes you break things to fix it.
A declaration that the inmates will no longer run the asylum. Now, Amorim has admitted that his emotional response wasn't ideal, but not so much that he wouldn't do it again. Not quite the hairdryer, something new. Maybe a hybrid approach, bridging that volcanic rage that Fergie had, but with Amorim relating it to modern players. I hope it's the start of something. Not a return to Fergie's methods, but a new interpretation of leadership for something else at United. Because, I tell you what, we have tried every flavour of leader after Fergie. None of them have worked. None of them have been able to find that blend of power and respect. Amorim has shown charisma in abundance already at United, how he can relate to players, how he will defend his players. But with this TV incident, we've now seen the other side of Amorim. He's showing that in an age where players have more power than ever, the most powerful thing a manager can do is be genuine. Perhaps the secret isn't in trying to be the next Fergie, but in understanding why Fergie worked in the first place. Authentic leadership, adapted for its time.